big reason why veterans don't talk to people is because they feel like they can't relate to anybody. Each time I came back from Afghanistan, it felt like I was coming back to a different world. A world that I used to know, I grew up in, I spent my whole life, and then spending a year, 2 years, 3 years away, and coming back, it felt like it was a completely foreign place I've never been to before. My home became Afghanistan, and that's what became normal for me. Coming back to America, seeing how people were and seeing how complacent they were, I couldn't understand it. I was used to getting shot at often, going out on a mission thinking that mission's going to be my last one, or I'm going to get hurt. I was surrounded by people that were getting hurt, were getting shot, blowing up, and sleeping on the ground often, going out on missions for days, sometimes weeks at a time, sleeping on the ground, eating what food we carried, what water we carried. Then coming back to America, watching how people interacted with each other, how everyone took everything for granted, sleeping on a comfortable bed, eating good food, going out whenever they wanted, not thinking there's threat anywhere. I couldn't understand it, and it bothered me. It bothered me so much that I just shut down. I didn't want to talk to anyone because I feel like they wouldn't understand what I was going through. I couldn't understand how people weren't looking over their shoulders, how there's a box next to the roadside, and how people didn't think that was an IED, how that wasn't a bomb. Because that's the first place I went to in my head. If I saw something on the side of the road, that's an IED. If I went to Walmart, or if I went to any public store, any public event, a fair, anywhere, my mind was constantly looking for a threat. And then when I looked at people, I found myself looking at people a lot more than I used to. Almost to the point where I'm staring at them. But I'm not really staring at them. I'm looking at what they're doing. I'm seeing their actions. I'm wondering, why aren't they acting the way I am? How aren't they hypervigilant? How are they not looking at other people's actions? I see people laughing, smiling, walking around, and it bothered me down to my core. They could get shot, they can get sniped, what I'm thinking. They would never see it coming. That's something I struggled with for months, maybe years. Another thing that bothered me is hearing people complain about stupid shit. How they only got a couple hours of sleep. How their husband, their wife, whatever, isn't acting the way they want them to. How their kids are misbehaving. How they didn't get their coffee that they wanted, or their food because they, whatever reason, whatever stupid excuse. Anytime I heard a complaint, it bothered me. Because I'm thinking, motherfucker, in Afghanistan, we ain't got this shit. We can't just go through a drive-through. We can't just get whatever we want, whenever we want, whenever we wanted. And people were wondering why I was shutting down, why I wasn't opening up to them. Asking me questions, stupid questions. Have I killed anyone? How many people have I killed? How many times have I been shot at? what's Afghanistan like? And to me, it's all stupid shit. I didn't care to talk about it. And everyone thought I was just shutting down. And I was. But when you see what I saw, when you saw the worst of humanity, when you saw brothers in arms, people on your team, some of your best friends dying, when you see Afghan soldiers that you're fighting next to, guys that you grew to appreciate and respect, you're watching them get blown up, you're watching them get shot. When a quarter of my team got blown up and seriously injured, it took a blow to my team. It completely changed our dynamic. And that affected us for months. When we're eating shit food just to survive to the next day, when we're doing multiple missions a day, multiple missions a week, high op tempo, a lot of operations, and you get back and your mind's still going as fast as your operations are, and you can't slow down, you can't relax, and you don't remember the last time you did relax, and you come back to America and people want to know why you're different. The last thing you want to do is try to explain it to them. There's been several times I tried to explain it to them. Hey man, I got anxiety. Hey man, I don't know what's wrong. Sometimes you can't explain it, and that bothers you, because sometimes you want to talk. Sometimes you want to get it off your chest. You're crushed by the weight that's on you, and you want to let it go, but you can't. And you want to open up. And the few times that you try, you're met with disappointment. Hey man, I got these issues. It's hard for me to be in public. It's hard for me to talk about it. I have flashbacks. I have problems sleeping. And you're met with someone saying, yeah man, I have problems sleeping too. Yeah man, I have anxiety too. I have anxiety going out in public too. Are you serious? Did you just compare your shitty sleep to me having night terrors? To me waking up in cold sweat? You didn't get your 8 hours of sleep and you're comparing that to my issues? No wonder veterans don't want to open up to nobody. You're met with someone comparing their issues with yours. And I'm not discounting anyone's issues, anyone's problems. I'm not saying my PTSD is worse than anybody else's. But when people are complaining that veterans and law enforcement don't talk to people, that's because we're met with stupid shit like that. The last thing we want to do is bring up our issues, because we know you're going to bring up your issues just to compare it, to feel like you're relating with us. No, we don't want you to relate with us. We know you can't. You didn't see people die. You didn't think you were going to die every single day you left the wire. There's no way you could compare. Just like law enforcement, we're so hyper vigilant because we keep seeing on the news that officers get shot, officers get messed up when you least expect it. So we're always on edge. And then as a civilian, you're going to compare your life to ours? No. The only thing you do is be there and listen. And even then, sometimes that's not good enough. It's hard for us to open up because we don't like being vulnerable. Because when you're vulnerable, it's a sign of weakness in our mind. And we're going at 100 miles an hour when we're deployed or we're on duty. We can't have weakness. That's life and death for us. There's so many times where I've talked to veterans, even old timers, Vietnam War, and they tell me their deepest, darkest stuff they've never told anyone. Dark shit that they're probably almost embarrassed to talk about. And they tell me shit because they know I can relate. They know I got a story to back up their story, and they know they're not alone. After talking to these people, I could talk to someone that was there that have known them for several years or their whole life. Family members, close friends, and they would tell me they have never heard that from them. They have never heard those stories from them. They never knew they existed. That's because they can't talk to you. It's not that they don't want to, they can't. When you're met with disappointment, it messes you up even more than before saying anything. That's why we suppress it. That's why we don't talk about anything. When you compare your problems to our problems, it's almost like you're saying our problems aren't that big of a deal. When you say you have PTSD from a motorcycle accident, and you're comparing, and that you're scared to go back onto a motorcycle, you're comparing your motorcycle accident to me being shot at, to me almost dying, to watching buddies die, to me treating buddies until they gave their last breath. That's what you're comparing your PTSD to. So we don't want to hear that you have PTSD and you can relate with us. Only thing you can do is understand that we have been through a lot of shit that people are not supposed to go through. I'm gonna turn around. People get upset that we changed, that we're no longer the person that we were growing up. You know, siblings ask why I changed. It's impossible not to change when you experience the worst things that people aren't supposed to experience. When you watch people die on your team. When you go every day thinking you're gonna die. And even before deployments, we need soldiers. We need soldiers of war. And I go through intense training for a year to year and a half long on creating this monster that we need. And we need soldiers like that. We need soldiers that are ruthless, that will kill without hesitating, because that's what protects us. You can't expect me not to be changed after that. I'm changing everything about me. I'm going against what's normal, what I'm used to. And so when I'm changing myself, and when I come back from deployments, you can't expect me to be the same person. That's why it's difficult for us to talk to anyone, because we sometimes don't know how to interact with people. We sometimes don't know how to interact with people we grew up with, our family, our friends. And sometimes we just distance ourselves. we're tired of explaining why we can't talk on the phone, why we get anxiety from seeing a phone call or a text on our phone, knowing that at some point we have to talk. Most of the time we don't want to talk. We avoid phone calls. We avoid people. We lock ourselves up in our houses. We segregate ourselves from everyone we love and know. And we're left with the thoughts inside our head. So again, biggest reason why veterans can't talk to people, why law enforcement, I feel like, are shutting down the people, is because we can't relate to people. And we're tired of explaining ourselves. If you guys have experiences like this or know someone that has experiences like this, hit me up in the comments. We can talk about it. There's a lot more reasons, but that I think is the biggest reason